Hi, this is Pancake Marathon, where essentially I think it's appropriate in a sense of saying of let's do 180s instead of keep doing 360s because somehow we burnt down our life and well, let's just say where we are at, right? And so that's why I gave it the name Pancake Marathon because in a pancake you do a 180, right? Or you're going to burn the other side and the other side is not going to get done. And it's always about your foundation. You know, don't take something out, just add, but then keep that variable within keeping it simple, right? And yet simply to say, you know, this is just my message of recovery. If you like what I have to give, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool too. Not everyone has to be able to find, the God of their understanding through my words. And yet I understand the power of sharing is caring and not isolating, right? And so, I'm not sure exactly what I want to talk about in the sense of itself, but I do comprehend the word serenity today because I am showing up in my life the miracle of what it is. Now, it might not meet other standards, essentially, of anyone else. Yet, can I really appropriately be God shamed? No, if and when I keep putting the work in, right? That's when I get it. And yes, to clarify. And so, fitting into somebody else's box, it can be a challenge, it can be everything, and it can be nothing. I don't know, other than myself, personally, I never truly wanted to fit into any else's box. Yet, one reason why I love recovery so much is because there's unity, there's community, and yes, it's what you make it. Okay, and I'm gonna have a great day unless I have other plans, right? I really like that slogan these days. Um, Essentially and simply to say, and yet that's kind of what I want to talk about. Fitting into somebody else's plans and not getting frustrated because oh my goodness, it is so easy to get frustrated. It really is, and then irritable, and it's an inconvenience. It's an inconvenience, right? And then there's that reason why I like doing these podcasts and showing up into my life is because I'm communicating. You're not alone in this. You're never alone in your life, right? And from a spiritual standpoint, my intuition saying don't say it, and I in and of itself, I only say it like that because I need to be clever enough to change the wording without hesitation, and yet simply to say I I need and I get to have a need. I I find it so much love and so much life when I show up in my life. I have this ability to complicate things. We all do, right? We all truly do. Even the ones that are not in, practicing recovery in a sense of saying, they're living their lives and, they qualify themselves in other ways, in a simple way of saying anything without moderation can be seen as an addiction. And in that sense, I don't know. I'm just trying to find my way, my peace, my mind, getting some, sanity back, that I somehow gave away. And, in a simple way of saying too, it's about showing up in my life, my life, your way of you. I can't find a way other than to saying I feel a little chaotic at this moment. Why? Because something outside of myself is going crazy, simply to say, and yet that's just a reflection on me. What part of that experience is truly me? What is the message? What is the messenger? Never shoot the messenger, or I will never focus and see the message. Right? We get what we focus on. We get what we feel. We reap what we sow, and in and of itself, simply to say it's all of the above, it's all of the things, it's every aspect of itself. I do not understand how I never understood this before, but it's okay, in a simple way of saying, because I can condemn myself without a doubt. I can bring misery and them through the company that I always want to have an echo chamber about. And yet simply to say, I can say it's okay. Because if I'm hurt, I'm hurt. But I don't have the right to be angry at everyone else. Right? Because that's what we get, what we focus on. And so I'm attempting to focus on the brilliance of life and love and all of these things. I truly, truly, and absolute really do. Absolutely, I really do. And so I put life together in such a way of just showing up in my life and living. It might not be perfect, but I know that deep down I am perfectly perfect in all of my humanity and all of my essence of life. With this just being an experience, with this just being something that is what it has the value that I can add to it. For if life is automatically meaningless, then wouldn't that be why free will is absolute and how it works? And the simple fact of itself that it is energy, right? If you don't think energy is everything, okay, that's cool, that's fine. Whatever is clever for you to comprehend the word serenity, finding unity in the, a fellowship, a safe place, right? Where we can stop adding bricks to the wall of our torment. To the fact of the matter is, what is the message? What is, yes, sure, there's a messenger, and there's points to it all. Yet, and simply to say, all it comes down to is showing up in your life. You never have to be perfect, and you don't have to be miserable. Just show up to your life. Because in this whole experience of life, of the frustrations and the irritabilities, the inconveniences, which is the same thing as an irritability, right? It's all of that. And yet simply to say, I am so good at making my life manageable, because that's ego, right? It's because I am demanding things to be so self-seeking. I don't care other than I don't care to hear what you have to say. Yet I realize today, and one reason why I'm saying all this is because I got some news, and yet it wasn't presented in a way that was great. It wasn't presented in a way that was horrible. It was just in my mind. I'm like, oh, I didn't. And now I'm analysis is paralysis, and you are where you are, right? You are where you're thinking, and it's all the same aspects of itself that I am just making my life miserable. And I say it like that in a sense of that's where I'm at in my life. Now, did I just talk? Yes, I am just talking today at this moment. I have no at all anything ever in a sense of saying more than what I usually do, because I am just showing up in my life. I am just, we can say, venting, not isolating, all these things. And I'm just so adamant about doing this and that of what is life. And the reason why I said and realize why I said it the way I said it is because psychologically, that's where I'm at. Inside this nature of things, I am finding a new intuition and finding interest in my fellows, which is what life around me. And I can be miserable. I can go ahead and but yet here's the simple fact that it is just an experience. It is temporary. It is seemingly permanent if I make it that way. And yet I can make it something seemingly insignificant become something amazing. And yet I can give peace to my soul by breaking my heart. And yet every time I am miserable, I am angry, I find frustration in and of itself, I am miserable. And yet then that's the power of what recovery has brought to me today, in the simple way of saying that I am able to find reflections and step away quicker, in a simple way of saying, instead of blowing up my life, right? I communicate at a level that I try to communicate at, and go from there. It truly, truly is as simple as that. And yet simply to say, that's okay. This is what I have to give today. Because I got food going, and life is life. It's not a big deal unless I make it that big of a deal. I can get stressed out with ease. Some parts of me love life, and some parts of me hate life, right? Duality, aspects of everything. And yet I know simply to say that this is maybe properly titled as that reflections amazing. Stepping away instead of burning down my life is absolute. I mean, it can happen to any, every, and all moments. And that's, probably why, to me, how I've interpreted through the spiritual awakening, this knowledge now that I get to keep because I put the work in, within keep showing up to my life, that alcoholism, by simple definition, is a hopeless body, state, and mind. And that's why it doesn't matter if you're an active part of your recovery, or you are active in your addiction, or in the sense of saying of you're not in recovery at all. You are. If you ever feel hopeless, right? If you ever get angry, is that hope? Do you have hope in that moment? You probably don't, right? You're probably in that one thing, right? And you can only experience one thing at a time, basically, in a simple way of saying, because if you got to find the unity in all these things, right, the human experience, can you truly, as through an ego, experience and comprehend everything at one time, when the ego is purely designed to go ahead and just give you this one experience so you can have a filter, essentially, to go ahead and experience life here in this moment of now. And if that's what its pure aspect of its purpose, we can simply just say, or its main value that it can add, when we add things to it and accept it into our lives, which we are here, so we already have, then in that simple way of saying, it's all about comprehending the word serenity, knowing a new peace, putting the painstaking phase of our development, right? We are developing, right? If you look at a picture when it's in development, right? If you put the light on it before it develops, it will go all white, right? It won't show up, and then it's ruined. We can simply just say, if you could see me doing air quotes, and see me, totally adamant and so not just boisterous, but like moving around with my hands. It's everything is so amazing, and yet I can make it so miserable. I really truly can, and it's crazy, and yet, you know, truly it is, and yet simply to say, showing up in my life is a way that I get to be part of life, right? I can be in life or I can be of it. And it depends on what jargon or my goal, in a simple way of saying, do I want to be in it or of it? And most times I could probably say I want to be of it, right? But the only way to change things is to be in it, right? To caress the nurture part of all of this, the externals, the perceiving, to that of embracing what is already there, right? The philosophy opposed, and that of which is in creates the leading and the development into a science upon itself of philosophy, is that of the internal, the nature, the perception, because perception's everything. Perceiving is kind of childish next to perception, and yet that's not to condemn it. That's just to give perspective, right? Because my perspective is my experience. It's my quote to what you would experience when it comes to my personal experience of a quote of your metaphor within itself, right? And then we all get to play with proverbs of putting it in stories of my yesteryear quote to what is now connecting it into our experience of having the same kind of per se experience of a quote, but yet still the simply of what it is to say that we don't experience anything the same. We're just sharing the same space and time. We are all interpreting and experiencing on our own dimensional level of what we are and who we are. It doesn't matter if we're looking at it the same thing. Oh, look at that picture. Isn't that nice? Oh, I like that too. But that does not mean that we are seeing the same thing, right? Because if I'm on a different energetic level and I am at a different moment, then how are we going to experience the same thing? And it doesn't mean that we're not all connected. It just means that I'm experiencing this, you're experiencing that. We're all different versions of the same starting point of life and all that kind of stuff. But it is so easy to go ahead and just condemn everything and then focus on all the miserable things. But it's also easy to focus on all the amazing things. It truly is. And that's why a foundation is everything. And that's why reflection's everything, right? The retrogrades in life is absolutes. If we want to be magnanimous in our nature, we get to choose this. We have free will. We have a God of our understanding. It's true. And if in any every moment where you feel so separated but physically close, it's because somehow our souls, our insides are just in turmoil, and then it would maybe appear as we were being an AA zealot or whatever kind of zealot it may be, and then we're trying to rest on our laurels, our past action upon this moment of, well, I did this, why can't I still be recognized about it, right? And that's why it doesn't matter how you were, where you started from, it's how you finish, right? Maybe. I don't know. Simply to say. Anywho, I'm going to go eat because I feel like it's a thing. I'm going to go and do other things because I feel like that's a thing. But I know for a certain absolute fact that I do deserve to take up space. And I do deserve to be loved. And I do deserve to have my shoes fit just right. And the same for you. It's true. You do deserve to take up space. Your shoes do fit just right. No matter how you can condemn yourself, that step zero research, it doesn't matter. Because that past action, unless you want to make it a permanent thing, is just an experience. You can make it meaningless or you can make it matter. But all things matter if you want it to be. And yet simply to say, I love you. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Of God of my understanding for being in my life. Thank you so much for you being part of my recovery as well. And welcoming me to give some kind of something. Some kind of something. Some kind of something. Whatever that is. Whatever that is. You find your thing that helps you find a sense of unity and peace and something that you want to keep on showing up for in your life, whatever that may be. And that's okay if you haven't found it yet. And that's okay if life is just something that you just want to take a step back from and focus on the 30 seconds upon itself. And then you can go ahead and reap the reflection upon itself of it. Let me just go ahead and focus on the 6 seconds in life. Let me reap what I sow. In a sense of saying, a simple way of saying that per se, the short version of the Serenity Prayer can be said in 6 seconds. It's all relative, right? It's all about that sense, right? So I'm going to go ahead and count it out. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. In a simple way of saying, I'm going to put a timer on that point. Just go ahead, because I'm counting it, but I'm trying to say it at the same time. So, let's do this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, so, right there. Now, we can factor in that, it took me some time to push the play, and it took some time to stop the play, but essentially it's 6 seconds, if not 7. Does it really matter at that point? Right? Are you going to shoot the messenger and not focus on the message? Yeah, anywho. Anywho. You have a beautiful one. I love you and thank you. Life in general of everything, because it's just sometimes it's gotta breathe. Take a step back and say, all will be okay. I love what I have. Gratitudes all the way. Thank you.